Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Gittin Daf Samech Daled Amud Aleph 64a1, but we're going to start on 63b. Samech Gilum Ubet Mishnah, which is 2 lines from the bottom. The Mishnah says, Haisha Sheamra Itkabel Li Giti. Imagine a woman comes and she says to her Shaliach, Itkabel Li Giti, which means accept my get. Now the Shliach comes and he says that he did get the get, but he said it only a little bit of time later on. She needs to bring 2 groups of witnesses, right, that she divorced. 2 saying that she said it in front of them to Shliach to be mekabel the get. And 2 of them say befanenu kibel vekara, that in front of him, in front of us, the Shliach received the get and he tore it. Okay, because that was the minhag even then, right? The Gemara is going to explain it. Why do they have to tear the get, right? But she does not need to bring another 2 edim, even if they're going to be the same ones. What does that mean? So basically, you need 2 witnesses and 2 witnesses. 2 witnesses that she appointed the shaliach, okay, because that was the first 2 witnesses that she appointed the shaliach, and 2 witnesses she appointed the shliach. How do we know she appointed the shliach? She needs witnesses. So 2 witnesses say that she appointed the shliach, and 2 witnesses that the shliach received the get and he tore it. Because if not, where's the get? It's not here. Well, so how do we know that she got divorced? So we need the shliach. So he says, or echad me'arishonim ve'echad me'achronim ve'echad mitzaref imahen. So now we just said in the last halacha that technically speaking, it doesn't have to be 2 and 2, like 2 different, like Mr. A and B and then Mr. C and D. It could be Mr. A and B and Mr. A and B. They could be the same edim for both testimonies. But then it says here, or it could be 1 and 1, which means 1 witness with 1, right? With 1, how do you call this? 1 witness with 1 thing, and 1 witness with another one, and then you add a 3rd one. It could be A, right? And
one guy who's
A and somebody else. And then you could have, right, B and somebody else. You could have, it doesn't matter how it is, you understand, right? Or you could have A and B, and then you could have A with Mr. So-and-so, or B and with Mr. So-and-so. It doesn't matter how it is, but you always need 2 witnesses. You always need 2 witnesses. So again, 2 witnesses you need for the shlichut, meaning the appointing of the shlichut, right? And 2 witnesses for the kabbalat get, and that it was the destroying of the get. So it says the Gemara, Itmar, it was stated, Baal Omer lepikadon. What happens if the Baal gave the get in a hand of the 3rd party as a pikadon? The Shalish Omer, right? And now there's a Shalish and he comes and he says, Legirushin. This is the 3rd party, right? That's why he's called here the Shalish, Mashmam Lashon Kilu Shlishi, right? Or some people say it's like Lashon Shalit Umoshel, like the Shalishim al Kulo. So basically he comes and he says, no, he gave it to me as a Girushin. Yeah, that he was like now again, he was a 3rd party, right? So this guy's a 3rd party. The husband comes, he gives it in the hand of the 3rd party. He says, I just give it to him as a collateral. Just watch it over for me, right? I'm going out of town. I'm going to come back and then I want to give the get, right? The guy comes and he says, no. He gave it to me in L'Shem Girushin, that I should divorce his wife with it. Mineman, who's believed? The husband or the 3rd party? Ravuna says, Baal Neman. The husband is believed. Rav Chasta says, Hashlish Neman. The 3rd party is going to be, right, believed. Okay? Now, he comes and he says like this, Ravuna Amar, let's explain, what's the logics behind each shita. So Ravuna comes and he says, Baal Neman, Din ita legirushin, Yaven Yale, Ledida Haviyavna Neala. He says, 1 second, if he's giving it to him, L'Shem Girushin, why didn't he just give it directly to her? Meaning, what's he doing? She's right in front of him over there, or she's in the house. Why does he have to write a get and then give it in the hand of a 3rd party, right? Just give it to her. Yeah. Which one?
You want to check the money matters.
That's not a good argument.
Rav Chasta says, Shlish Neman. The 3rd party is going to be believed. Why? Because the husband himself believed him. Meaning like this, if you give something to somebody to safeguard, what does that mean? That you trust them. So if you trust them, that means the husband himself, he trusts the guy. So if the guy's going to come and he's going to say, no, he gave it to me as a pikadon, so he should be believed. Right? Why? Because even the husband himself believes him. So let's now start asking the questions back and forth. So we have two different svarot, logics, and now let's see what it says. So Mativ Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba comes and he asks on the words of Rav Huna from Braita. Hodaat baldin kemea edim dami. Right? We know that Hodaat baldin is like 100 edim. Meaning, if you come and you admit to something, that's like 100 edim coming and testifying about it. Because if you yourself admit, I don't need to bring any edim. I don't need to bring witnesses. If you come in and say, imagine right now, I come and I say, I own John Doe, right? I owe him $100. Do you need witnesses to come and say that I owe him $100?
No.
That's like 100 witnesses coming and say that. Because I admitted to it. Hoda'at baldin kemea edim dami. It's like 100 edim. The shalish ne'eman nishnehem. Now it says here, the shalish is going to be believed like two ba'ale dinim, mishne ba'ale dinim. Kate said, what's the case? Zeo merkach v'zeo merkach. Hashlish ne'eman. If somebody says A and somebody says B, the shlish is always going to be ne'eman, even against the owners. So therefore, right, you see from here that this is a question on Rav Huna. Rav Huna just said that the husband's not ne'eman and not what? And not the shalish. Why? Why is the husband ne'eman? Should be the shlish ne'eman. Question mefurash from Braita. Answers the Gemara. Shane mamon teityahiv lemechila. He says no. There we were talking about money. Money is different than Girushin. Why is money different than Girushin? Because money, you could be mochel money. Girushin is an isur. You can be a mochel or an isur. So if you buy money, it could be something different, but not by, right? But not by Girushin. Girushin is completely different halacha. So says the Gemara, Tanya Hechal Gittin. But what are you talking about? I thought that it's written mefurash. The same halacha applies to Gittin. So if the same halacha applies to Gittin, we compare Gittin to money. So what are you talking about now? I asked the question of Rav Huna, why is the husband believed? There's a Braita mefurash that what? That really be'emet the shlish is ne'eman. The shlish means the third party is ne'eman, right? What do we answer? No. There, when we spoke about the third party ne'eman, we were talking about money. We weren't talking about Girushin. So ask the Gemara, but it's written mefurash v'chel Gittin. V'chel Gittin means the same halacha applies to Gittin. So if the same halacha applies to Gittin, right, it's the same thing. Answers the Gemara, no. We're talking about Gitem Mamon, not Gitem Nashim. What does that mean? Gitem Mamon is Shtane Mamon. It's like a document of money, but not Gitem Nashim. So in such a case, also the Balchov is Mochel Zechutov because of the Shlish, right? Because basically he could even be Mochel on money. But to do with Gitem Nashim, we already said no, Gitem Nashim is Yisurim. It's completely different, right, than money. So ask the Gemara, how do you explain to me that when it says Gitin, it means Gite Mamon and not Gite Nashim? It says Shtarot. Shtarot is, you just said Gite Mamon. So for obviously when it says Gitin and it says Shtarot, Gitin cannot be Shtarot. It cannot be the same thing. So answers the Gemara, Mi de gabe ada de Tanya. He says, really be'emet, right? What happens is that we're talking about the two different braitot, right, on the same braita. We're talking about the same braita, which means both of them are talking about shtarei mamon, and not each person called it the same thing. One person called it shtarot, and one person called it gitin, but it's really gitei mamon. Gitei mamon just means documents of money, things which cut off of money, right? Sometimes it could be a partnership that they come and they dissolve, right? Sometimes it could be other things that just documents, but it's not really be'emet anything to do with gitei nashim. Okay, now we're going to ask on the svara to do with the shlish is going to be ne'eman. Okay. Yes.
When you said
Now we learned in the Mishnah. Listen to this Mishnah. Haisha she'amra hitkabel li giti. Tell me if you recognize the Mishnah. A woman comes and she says, "Receive my get." Tzricha shte kitei edim. She needs two groups of witnesses. Shnaim she'amru, two of them to say b'fanenu amra that she said it. She appointed a shaliach. U'shnaim she'amru, and two witnesses that say b'fanenu kibel v'kara, that the shaliach accepted the get and that he tore it up. V'amai, why do you need exactly, right, this entire concept, right, of the two edim and everything? Just believe the shliach. The shliach is a shlish. Just believe him. Why do you need, right, bichlal, two witnesses? Believe the shlish. So this is obviously against, right? And by the way, where was this Mishnah?
Mishnah.
This is our Mishnah, right? So therefore, right, we're asking, why do you need two witnesses? Believe the shliach, believe the shlish, and gamarnu. Answers the Gemara, Mi kanafi gita mitute yadeh delemne. You're right. If the get was under his hands, then we do believe the shliach, right? Why? Because he has it, right? If he has a get here, he doesn't have it. So since he doesn't have it, right, he only has a get karua, so therefore he's not a man anymore to say that she made him into shliach and that he received the get and so on and so forth. Meaning like this, when we said that a person is going to be believed as a shlish, it's only going to be believed in a case where be'emet they have everything intact. So if you have everything intact, I'm going to believe you. But if you don't have everything intact, whoever said I'm going to believe you? Why should I believe you? At the end of the day, right? Maybe you found it in the garbage, right? Maybe you found, we don't know what's going on. So says the Gemara, Teinach, I understand that's going to be good. Imamra, right? If she said to the shlish that he's going to be the shliach lekabel, so kabel lamali. So why is it that if why does he need the edim that the shlish was mekabel the get the shem girushin? The fact that you still have the torn get in his hands, that should be enough. Meaning you're right, right? He has in his hands a torn get, so therefore he probably did receive the get, and you should believe him because of that. But maybe you don't believe because maybe she didn't come and she didn't like give him the get. You understand? So maybe that not. But why? So Amar Rava comes and he says, Hamani, who is this? Rabbi Lazari. It's Rabbi Lazar. Amar edem esira karte. That according to him, he says edem esira are the ones that cut off the get, which means that the fact when they see the giving over of the get, that is what cuts off the divorce. And therefore, it's not just enough that we believe the shaliach, that the get came to his hands, but rather the Aisha, the woman, has to ascertain that the get was given to the shaliach in front of a din. Because if it was not given in front of a din, it's worthless. Meaning, even if it was 100% given to the hands of the shaliach, it doesn't matter. Ede mesira karte. Witnesses which are giving over the get, those are the ones which are the witnesses that the get goes into effect. And if you don't have that, it's worthless. So even if you believe the shliach, yeah, you got it in your hands, chazak waruch, it's still not enough. That's what he says. Fine. Now the Gemara is going to ask, why bichal do you need to tear the get? Because we said the get got to his hands, and then he tore the get. Why do you have to tear up the get? What's going on here? Kara lamali. Why? So why? Why is it that the shliach, right? The shlish.
In the case of shaliach, we should say you don't have to tear it to have a proof.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, everyone tears the get. Now the question is why? Why do you have to tear? 1 second. So why do you have to tear the get? So Amar of Yudah Marav says of Yudah Marav, Bishata Gzera Shanu. No. You know what we're talking about? There was a Gezerah from the Malchut to be Mvatel Mitzvot. So therefore they came and they said, you know what? Tear the document, right? That means once it's given to the woman, you tear it up. Or, right, once it's given to the shaliach, you tear it up in order that there shouldn't be any sakana. Right? What does that mean? We don't want, because if they're going to come, they're going to say, what's this document? There's a get. A get? What's a get? It's a torn up document. We were fooling around with things and we tore it up. So nobody's going to come and say, you guys are doing, why? Because if you tear something up, it shows no importance.
What was the
If you come and you come with a check and the check's torn up, can you cash the check? You can't cash the check. Right? If you have a dollar bill that's torn up, it doesn't work. You have to tape it up. And even sometimes with tape and everything, they don't always want to accept it at the bank.
What was the problem with the get?
No, there was no problem with the get. What happened was that the Mishnah said that the get was torn up. Why is it torn up? Answers the Gemara, there was a gezerah of the Malchut. The Malchut went and they said, if you come and you guys do mitzvot, we kill you. So the rabbis came in and said, you know what? There's going to be a new thing. What do you do? After the get, tear up the get. Why? Because even if they're going to come, they're going to catch you with a get. They're going to ask you, what is this? This we were playing around, fooling around. They're not going to know that this was a get and you gave the get. And then they're just going to say, okay, it's a torn up piece of paper. It's like a torn up check. Is it valid? It's not valid for anything. They're not going to, they found it torn up. It's not that they found it whole and then you tore it up keilu. And I was like, no, they found it torn up. So it's worthless. So now you come and he says this. Amar Rabba says, Umode Ravuna is modeh, the amra ihi, that if she said, Ledidi amali ashlish telegirushin yavinale, that the shlish went and he said to her that it was given over to him as a girushin, mehemna. He's going to be believed. She's going to be believed. What does that mean? Here we're talking about the machloket was between the shalish and the baal. One more time, the machloket is between the shalish and the baal. Who's believed? But according to everybody, right, even according to Rav Huna, if right now the woman comes and she says that the shlish told her that it was given to him as a girushin and not as a pikadon, we believe the shlish. That even Rav Huna agrees in such a case. So says the Gemara, 1 second. Mi kamide de shalish kufelo meheman vi memna. Does it make sense that if the shalish says something, he's not believed? Because again, remember, in Rav Huna, the shlish was not believed, the baal was believed. In the other shita, who is the second shita? Rav Chasta. In Rav Chasta, the shlish was believed and not the husband. But in Rav Huna, the husband was believed and not the shlish. So he says, does it make sense that the shlish himself is not going to be believed? And now she's going to be believed because the shlish told her? It doesn't make sense. She is an extension of the shlish. So does it make sense that if he himself says it, he's not believed? But if she says it for him, now she's believed? Does it make sense? Ella amra, but rather if she said, Kamai didi legirushin yaveni hale, it was given to him in front of me, l'shem girushin, then mehemna, then she's believed. Migu di'abaya amra, because she has a migu that she could have said, ledidaya v'ne'ale bal, that the husband gave it to her directly. Meaning here is a migu. What's the migu? She comes and she has the get, correct? Okay, she has the get. She could have said the husband gave it to her directly. She doesn't say that. She says that the husband gave it to the shlish should give it to her. So the fact that she comes and she says that the husband gave it to the shlish to give it to her, instead of giving a better ta'ana, a better claim than that the husband gave it directly to her, so therefore she's going to be believed. Because she's believed because of the mingu. That's why. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. What happens if the husband, he appointed a shlish to be a shliach leholacha? So again, you have the third party, but this third party is going to be the shliach leholacha. Habal omer l'shem girushin. What happens if the husband says it was for girushin? Vashlish omer legirushin. The shlish also says it was for girushin. So until now we're all okay. Everybody was saying that it was for girushin.
It's a different guy, right?
What?
It's a different guy.
No. The same shlish was supposed to be the shliach leholacha. Vehi omeret, and she says, Natanli ve'avad. He gave it to me, but it was lost. That means one more time, the husband comes and he says, I gave it to this guy, he's a shliach leholacha. The shliach says, I got the get, I was a shliach leholacha, right? And it was given to the woman. She says, yeah, it was given to me, but it was lost. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Hava davar shebe'erva. It's a davar shebe'erva. Ve'en davar shebe'erva pachot mishnayim. You need two witnesses. Meaning, even though everybody is admitting, I need two witnesses. There's no two witnesses. Davar shebe'erva means anything to do with immorality, anything to do with erva. A woman that's a married woman, she's an erva to everybody else in the world. So therefore, en davar shebe'erva, there's no such thing as something of an erva with less than two witnesses. Meaning like this, if you right now want to come, meaning like this, let's say two people come in from out of town. They say, we used to be husband and wife. We got divorced. We don't believe them. He shows us a ketubah. He was married. He comes and he says, I was married to her, right? And now we got divorced. He agrees that they got divorced. She agrees they got divorced. They're not believed. Now there's a whole question, what happens if we wouldn't have known? So maybe they have a migu, but they could have said that they never knew each other bichlal. Now they came and they gave us information. But I don't want to go into the people. I'm just going in the concept. The concept is that even though both parties agree, it's a davar shebe'erva. So therefore, to do a davar shebe'erva, you need two witnesses. It doesn't exist, right? Not having two witnesses. You need two witnesses. That's just the way that it is. Okay.
How come the get can?
So says the Gemara, V'amai, why? Why do you need two edim? Lehem l'shlish. Just believe the shlish and that's it. Believe the shlish that he gave over the get. So says the Gemara, Mi kanafi gita tutu yadev. What? Is there a get under his hands that we're believing him? Right? There's no get. So therefore, since there's no get, that's why, right? Meaning, right now, where's the get? It's not in his hands, so I'm not going to believe him. I could only believe him if it's under his hands, but if it's not in his possession, I'm not going to believe him. So says Ibn Afayim, believe the husband. If a husband just comes and he says, I divorced my wife, he's going to be believed. Says the Gemara, Mi kamar gerashti? Is he the one that's actually saying? He's just saying he gave the get. He's not saying he divorced his wife. He's just saying I gave the get and that's it. So so 1 second, why don't we just say there's a chazakah? What's the chazakah? Chazakah, shaliach oseh shlichuto. There's a chazakah that usually a shliach will do his shlichut. The Amar Rav Yitzchak, the says of Yitzchak, Haomer li shlucho, if somebody comes and he tells a shliach, Tseve kadesh li isha, go and get married to me to a woman. Umet shlucho, now the shliach dies. Asur bechol anashim shebaolam. He's asur on every single woman in the world. Chazakah shliach oseh shlichuto. It's a chazakah that the shliach did his shlichut. Everyone understood what happened. One more time. The guy comes and he gives a kiddushin, right? And he comes and he tells the shliach, go get me married. He says, I like your taste. Go get me married. Yeah, so okay, fine. The shliach goes, and all of a sudden, he dies. Now, he didn't tell you who was the lucky girl, right? Now you're in trouble now. You're prohibited in every woman in the world. Why? Because maybe it's a sister, or maybe it's a family member, or maybe
הוא לא עשה כלום.
קידושים.
איך עושה קידושים? הבעל באפריקה עושה קידושים במיאמי?
ודאי.
אז איך הוא ייתן אותם?
שליח.
שליח עושה לה...
ודאי.
השליח רק למצוא.
שליח, one more time. We don't understand what is kiddushin nowadays because we do it together. Kiddushin is giving a ring, לאו דווקא ring, money. אבל זה קידושין, זה נקרא קידושין. כן, זה קידושין.
של היום.
מה? לא, זה לא אותו דבר. האירוסין של היום זה שווה כלום. right? האירוסין. לא, זה רק אם הם עושים, זה רק אם הם עושים תנאים.
So he sends somebody.
That's only if they do תנאים. One more time, let me explain. Right? And just to explain to you what it is that the אירוסין של היום. אירוסין של היום, engagement of today is worthless. If she comes and the night of the engagement, she has relations with another man, what happens?
She has fun.
She has fun.
Nothing. Nothing. Today, nowadays, nothing. Nothing happens nowadays. In the olden days, she gets skila. She gets killed. There's a huge difference. Nowadays, is a כלום. אירוסין של היום זה שווה, אפילו לא אתה נצפה. זה שווה כלום.
אם היא תרסה לו, והיא הייתה עם מישהו, הוא יכול להתחתן? היא תרסה לו. בוא נגיד, היא הלכה עם מישהו.
ודאי שהוא יכול
להתחתן איתה?
ודאי שכן. הבעיה זה רק טעות, אבל ודאי שהוא יכול להתחתן איתה.
לא, הוא סולח לה, וזהו, הוא יכול להתחתן איתה?
ודאי, אין שום ספק בעולם. אין שום ספק בעולם. So now, let's go back to what I was speaking about. Right? Well, listen carefully. Kiddushin is Hareat Mekudesh li b'tabat zo kedam Moshe Yisrael. That's nowadays, but it's with the tabat. It used to be even done with kesef. Hareat Mekudesh li b'kesef ze. זה לא רק אני. אתה יכול לעשות קידושין על ידי אחר. So what happens? I'm going to come to this girl and I'm going to say, you're going to get married to John Doe with this ring. You accept? Yes. Okay, so Hareat Mekudesh li John Doe, right? על ידי this thing. You have two witnesses. Come on.
So you're going to be crazy to send the shaliach then.
Why are you crazy? It means that there's always a chazakah that a shliach does his messenger. Meaning, if you send a shliach to do something, there's a chazakah, he does his job. So if he does his job, and the proof was from the guy that comes and he does kiddushin, and we say that he's going to be prohibited to every single woman in the world. Why? Because for sure he probably didn't do the kiddushin. So for the same thing, this guy sent a shliach, for sure he did the shlichut, samechtal damubet, 64b. So answers the Gemara, hanemile lechumra. Meaning, when we say that a chazakah does a shlichut, that is lechumra. Right? What does it mean, lechumra? Meaning, we're going to say, yeah, lechumra, so we're going to suspect that really he did the shlichut. But lekula, we don't do that. Meaning like this. When a person comes and he says that there's a chazakah that he actually did get married, is that a kula or a chumra? That's a chumra. He becomes prohibited to the entire world. But if you're going to say that, he comes and he says, right? But if you're going to tell me now that it's going to be that they're going to be prohibited because of the entire concept of, that it's going to be because of the entire concept of the, how do you call this? That he actually did do the divorce, that comes out of kula. It's not a chumra. Okay, it's a kula, not a chumra. Lemna ledida mid Rav Hamnuna. Says, why don't we believe the ta'ana of the woman to do with Rav Hamnuna? The Amar Rav Hamnuna says Rav Hamnuna. Haisha shamra lebala. If a woman comes and says to her husband, "Girashtani, you divorced me," ne'emet, she's believed. Chazaka ena isha miza panea bifnei bala. There's a chazaka. A woman would never have the audacity to come and say such a thing to her husband, right? Again, this is in the olden days, obviously, right? Which means that, it doesn't make sense. Well, a woman's going to say that you divorced me. Shoma, it wasn't really true. Yeah, it'll kill her on the spot. And say, for sure you have to believe her. So that in itself should already be enough. And so the Gemara, and one of these words, Hechal deleka de kamesayala, only in a place where there's nothing that's helping her at ta'ana. Aval hechal de mesayala, but if there's something that's going to help her ta'ana, meiza, she is going to be meiz panea. And therefore, since in our case, she's got like somebody else helping her out and saying, yeah, she's got an accomplice. Saying, yeah, I gave her the get. So for sure, she's going to have the audacity. So we don't have the chazakah. Meaning the chazakah only helps if there's nothing to help. And a woman is going to come and say, you divorced me? It's such a chutzpah that, no, for sure, Bemet, he really did divorce her. But if she's got an accomplice, for sure she would do it. There's no doubt. Okay? There's the Mishnah, Na'ara me'orasa, Samachdala Damubet, the Mishnah, 64b. Na'ara me'orasa, he ve'avia mekablin et gita. You know that I'm Na'ara me'orasa, which means that she's still in the possession of the father. So she's a Na'ara, okay? But she's me'oreset. So therefore, he ve'avia mekablin et gita. Whether it's her or her father, can accept her get. Okay? Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, Yehuda, en shte yadot zachot ke'achat. He says, one second. How does that make sense? You're going to have like two different reshuyot being sholet in the same body. And therefore, it cannot be that the father could get it, right, in the same time that she could get it. It's only the father. And any time that a woman cannot be shomeret gita, she cannot watch over her get, she cannot get divorced.
She's more than 12 and a half.
Oh, no, 1 second. Nara is between 12 and 12 and a half. If she's more than 12 and a half, then it's a bugeret. Yeah? So says the Gemara. Right, what is the machloket exactly between the Tanaim and our Mishnah? Rabbanan Savre, the rabbis hold, the Chachamim come and they hold, Yada yeterata zachil rachmana. She's got an extra hand. Meaning, as a Nara, she has her own hand. But she's got an extra hand. What's the extra hand? Her father. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Rabbi Yehuda holds, Bimkom avia, yadila lav klumi. No, when she has a father, her hand is nothing. Meaning, it's not that she has an extra hand. If she has a father, what she has is nothing. Okay, fine. So then says the Gemara, "V'chol shene yichola lishmor gita." What happens if she cannot be shomeret gita? Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Ketana hayuda lishmor et gita mitgareshet, ve'ketana she'ena yuda lishmor et gita ena mitgareshet. Says if you have a ketana that she knows how to watch over her get, she could get divorced. If she doesn't know how to watch over her get, she cannot get divorced. Ve'ezu ketana yuda. What's the case? Kol she mishameret gita v'davar acher. She could watch her get in something else. My comment, what does that mean exactly? Rabbi Yochanan says, she's anything that she's able to watch something else because of the get instead of being kom gita. She could come and she could get divorced, which means that if it's going to, if it's going to be that she's going to lose the other, like for example the get, she's still going to be shomer on something else. But she thinks that it's a get, meaning that mamash means she's able to watch over things. Usually a child, they lose everything. So since they lose everything, they don't know how to watch things. Right? You can't get upset at your child. You lost this. It's a child. What do you want? If you give something to a child, what do you want from them exactly? Right? But if she could already start watching over things, it's something different. So says the Gemara, Matkif la Ravuna bar Manoach aser Ravuna bar Manoach hashuta be'anahu. 1 second. But I don't understand. If she doesn't know the difference between a get and something else, so then she's like a shota. What does that mean then? No. She knows the difference between a get and something else. Meaning she knows this piece of paper I have to be careful with. Another piece of paper, a big deal. No. I lost it. But this piece of paper I have to be very, very careful with. So fine. So says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda Barasi, right? Says Rav Yehuda the name of Ravasi. Sror vezorko ve'egoz venotlo zoche le'atzmo ve'eno zoche le'acherim. Do you know that, let's say, he's a katan, but he'll take a stone and he'll throw it away. But he'll take an egoz and he'll take it, he'll eat it. That's somebody that he could be zoche le'atzmo, but he cannot be zoche to other people. Zoche le'atzmo means he could be zoche for himself. Why? Because he understands that he cannot be zoche to other people. Chefetz umachziro, if it's a chefetz and he gives it back, la'achar sha'ah, right? That means he'll be able to give it back even after an hour. That means he found a lost object, right? He found a lost object. Zoche beno leven atzmo leven achrim. So he can be zoche to everybody, whether it's himself or other people. Ki amrita kemedi Shmuel, when they said in front of Shmuel, Amali, he told me, da v'da achati. It's the exact same thing, which means it has the same deen. There's no difference between katana yodea lafchin ben sror legoz uben katana yodea lachzir chefetz. It's a bdiuk אותו דבר. My da v'da achati. What does it mean exactly that it's all the same thing? Amar Rav Chasa says Rav Chasa, echad ze v'echad ze, zoche le'atzmo ben zoche le'achrim. He could be zoche to himself and not to other people. Okay, so Mativ Rav Chinan Avardian asked Rav Chinan Avardian, ketzam nishtatfim b'mavui. How do you do shituf mevuot? Remember, shituf mevuot means that we all live in the same, not courtyard, but mavui. Mavui is the same like side alley. So how do you do it that you're able to carry within the same mavui? Maniach et chavit. You put a chavit with wine. Ve'omen, you're going to say it belongs to everybody in the mavui. Umzake lahem, you're going to be mezaket zeh to them. Al yedei beno bito gdolim, through your son and daughter which are gdolim. Ve'al yedei avdov shikoto ivrim, or your ever v'shivcha, but they have to be ivrim. So you see from here that they're going to, now it says the Gemara 1 second, but what's the shivcha then? Hai shivcha echidami. Idat yashte sarot. If she has 2 pubic hairs, ma bayagaba. Why is she by him? If it's a shivcha, not kananit, it's a shivcha which is an ama ivriya. The second that she has 2 pubic hairs, she goes out. Right? She becomes free. Elalav teluat yashte sarot. Obviously, she doesn't have 2 pubic hairs. And we said zocha la'acherim. She could be zocha to other people. She's doing the shituf mevot for other people. How does that work? Answers the Gemara, no, it's the Rabbanan. A get is doraita. Shituf mevot is the Rabbanan. So that's why it helps, because it's the Rabbanan. So Amar Rav Chasta says Rav Chasta, Ishti kvar da'an, he kept quiet and he didn't answer. What should he have said? He says he should have said, Kol detakun Rabbanan, right? Anything which the rabbis come and they make a tikkun, can doraita tikkun. It's like that they made it like doraita. Which means at the end of the day, when they have a drabanan, they instituted it like a doraita. So it's got a completely different halacha. So there's no difference between the rabbanan and doraita. There's no difference between them. So anyway, Bablina will continue speaking about it, but you do see here that there is going to be a machloket. Can a ktana get divorced or not? It's mashma from here that there was one opinion that as long as she could be shomeret gita, that's already enough. I mean, you can give it to her. So that means, let's say she's an 11-year-old. She could watch over things. You could give her the get. You don't have to give it to the father. You could actually give it to her. Again, there's going to be a machloket, right, which we're going to see in the Gemara.